to Patter with Pauline, and this week we have Alison Percy, who's our Head of Primary School Counselling and Wellness. Hi Alison, welcome.
Thanks, Pauline.
So today we're going to be talking about being a self-manager, but before we get on to that, tell us a little bit about what does a typical week look like for you, Alison?
The weeks are pretty varied. I work one-to-one with students. I could be observing students, meeting with parents, teachers, perhaps talking to some external agencies. Yeah, lots of different things.
Wow, so parents, colleagues, children, and then meetings with your teams and other external providers as well.
Yep.
So nice, great, a nice varied week.
I love it.
And lots of the work we do is proactive and preventative, not just reactive, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So our Wellness Centre offer fantastic resources as well on our website. Please tuck in anytime you want. But today, as you know, there'll be 3 questions. So the question is about the topic we're talking about. We'll also how that what that's like for children and what might parents know. So being a self-manager, one of our UWC skills and qualities in our profile. Over to you.
Yes, absolutely. So the way we define being a manager at UWC is taking responsibility for directing one's learning, working towards goals, organisation and time management, and looking after your own belongings.
And that must look slightly different from when I'm 4, because I know our K1s are very proud of being self-managers and right the way up to our older students.
Absolutely. And I think I would also add that at UWC we also look at it a little bit more broadly and we talk about managing our own emotions as well. That's a really important part of it.
I would say probably even more important in our current climate, our children, it is something that we're really more aware of becoming a challenge for some children, isn't it? That regulation and self-regulation.
Absolutely. And I think, self-management itself is actually built on a foundation of self-awareness. So at UWC we spend a lot of time talking about emotions and feelings and helping children understand what they are and how to recognise them. And once they do that and have an awareness of themselves and how they learn, then they're much better self-managers.
And that awareness includes, how they react to things, how they can notice triggers in their body or the changes in their body that when they're going through all those different emotions, which all will help then become a better self-manager.
Yes, absolutely. So we do a lot of that in school, and the teachers and the PSE curriculum really support that. In terms of children and being self-managers, some of the things that a good self-manager can do is have, as we said, some control over their emotions and be aware of them. They're also good at solving problems, so that might be emotional or social problems, but also problems in their work, academic problems. They're better at making choices, again, about their learning, but also about friendships. Better at organising themselves, packing their bags, managing their belongings, setting goals, monitoring how they're going on a task, and also being resilient. That's a really important part.
I want to just come back to, you said about packing their bags and that. I'm a mother of 2 children, grown up now, but 2 children. And I remember for 2 different reasons. I remember sometimes I wanted to pack the bag and get it sorted. And that could have been because we're in a rush and we need to leave the house. Please get all the things ready. Yep. And I know you've got everything for school. But then the other side thinking, I'm helping them and all that. When actually they then get to school, they don't know what's in the bag. They don't know if they've got the right things. They can't find where it is in the bag. And actually you're not helping them, even though you feel like you're helping them. And I think that's something for us as parents to be really conscious of as well, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And I think there's lots of things we can do from, starting packing the bags, but then slowly building in ways, checklists and lots of ways for them to help themselves.
And to release that over to them, I suppose.
Absolutely. And also I think, sometimes they'll forget something, but that builds resilience.
Yeah, and we have that. We have children every day coming down to the office. Can I ring my parents? I've forgotten this, that and the other. And actually trying to say, well, no, you're going to have to deal with it and hopefully you'll learn and you won't forget tomorrow. or the next time, and that will be because you've got a list, or you've got it on your door, or you've got it the night before, whatever's best for you in your situation.
Yep, absolutely. And I think, if you connect that to sort of broader skills, then you're also building what we call the window of tolerance. So that is kind of the space at which our kids operate best, manage their emotions, manage themselves. And you'll notice that if they're outside that window, then they might become very distressed or anxious. Or they also could be just like not motivated at all. And so you want to find that room where we build resilience to have a broad window of tolerance so that they are able to manage lots of different situations. I forgot my blue bag with my book in it. Oh, I forgot my lunch. Oh, something's happened with a friend. We want to build that so they can manage those emotions or manage those situations.
And I suppose an aim there is to stretch that window of tolerance so that anything unexpected, so forget that maybe it's not the first time they've forgotten their book bag or whatever, but when something unexpected comes up, they'll have that skill set and the strategies for managing that as well. And
yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
really important.
Yes, and they may start, depending on their temperament, with quite a small window of tolerance, or depending on their age, but the aim is to gradually broaden that over time.
What I'm noticing as we have the conversation is it isn't actually that different for adults.
Very true.
Yeah, and I mean we work in such diverse teams that we will have people with very different windows of tolerance and preferences and things that ways they like to do something. So the wider that window is for us as well, the more easier compromise becomes, etc., and problem solving.
Absolutely, and I think actually just like adults, children will have a narrower window when they have less resources. If they're tired, if they're sick, if there's been lots of change or things happening in the family, they might find it narrows. But actually overall the goal is to continue to broaden it, and then they can manage those kinds of things. Fantastic. And I think we also kind of want to send the message to our kids that you can do it.
Yeah.
And so, I think in terms of being parents and thinking about, okay, how can I continue to do this? And so we've talked a little bit about getting organised and stuff for school. So allowing your children to dress themselves, brush their own teeth, participate in making their lunch, or actually making their lunch if they're older, packing their own school bag, as I said, making sure the drink bottle has the water in it, all the things that are needed. Maybe there's a swimming costume needed, those kinds of things. Helping them to be independent enough to walk into their classroom and put their bag in their cubby. So developing routines at home is really helpful to build that window of tolerance and develop their ability to be self-managers and their resilience.
And I think a key part there is being realistic about that.
Yeah.
Our children are very, very different. Even when you have multiple children yourself, they're very different. So having realistic expectations of how quickly or how wide that window can stretch, so that maybe just one small step at a time, but it's a step in the right direction for your child.
Absolutely, and I think you might find that your child is at a different point to another child the same age, but actually that's just where they start, and then you just look at moving from there. And I think when we are dealing with things like managing emotions, all our children are different and have a different ability to do that. So again, we're looking to broaden that window of tolerance, but parents can really support a lot there. And so we talk about emotion coaching and about how we support our kids to become aware of their emotions and also manage their emotions. So it's a 5-step approach. Very briefly, but the first step is to become aware of the child's emotions. So by noticing your child, particularly the lower intensity emotions, which you may not notice. So looking at body language and facial expressions, things like disappointment and frustration may not be as obvious as anger. And then viewing that as an opportunity to connect with your child and reflect. I can see that you're frustrated. I understand that you're frustrated. And then communicating that, yes, you understand that would be the case and that you know how that feeling feels. And then helping them to use words to describe how they feel, That way we're building their emotional vocabulary, and then also, if necessary, helping them solve problems. Sometimes problems can't be solved, but sometimes we can help them find ways to manage their emotions or the things that have come up to cause the emotion.
And it's interesting because actually only yesterday we were doing a session with our teaching assistants, led by our occupational therapist and our social and emotional learning specialist. And they were talking about emotions, and none of the emotions are bad emotions. It's recognising them and building the strategies to deal with that emotion in an appropriate way, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm glad you spoke about the emotion coaching, because actually later this term, and we will be sending details out, but later this term we will be running a 6-week programme, I think it is, that's called Tuning Into Kids, which is all about emotion coaching. I only wish that when my children were younger, I had done this 6-week course, because it's fascinating, small tiny tweaks that can make a huge difference, I think.
Oh, absolutely. And I agree. I wish I'd done the course too, Pauline. It's a great course.
I think we're always, as parents, thinking, I mean, it's terrible for comparing, and we're always wanting to do it differently or better, and we all have exactly the same intention to give the best possible chances and opportunities to our children and help them be best versions of themselves.
Absolutely.
So, being a self-manager, I hope some of that resonated with you. I hope some of it affirmed what you're already doing, and I also hope there was some things there that you can think, oh, I'll need to think about that, and maybe we can do that differently. I think one of the key messages for me is involve your child. The more you involve your child and have that open discussion with them and keep that line of communication open, the better that you can move forward.
Absolutely. You're empowering them to know that they can do it.
That's right. And as you know, student agency is one of our strategic goals. So the more empowerment, the more we can release responsibility to our children, the better human beings they will be. Thank you very much. Tune in next time to Patter with Pauline.